Well, good morning, everybody. It's Ben here again in Mooloolaba, beautiful Sunshine Coast. Cracking day today. It is just a stunning day. It's 7:10 in the morning, and there's plenty of people up and about, going for walks, going for runs, plenty of cyclists around. It's a very community-based part of Queensland. Lots of events happen here on the sunny coast. Sunny Coast 70.3, Moo Try, which happens, I want to say March. It's been a while since I've done Moo Try, but I do recall it's in March. Who else we got? Noosa Try.
Sunshine Coast Marathon.
Sunny Coast Marathon, of course, absolutely. How could I forget? How could I forget the Sunny Coast Marathon? That's right. So we're in the middle of Alex Hill at the moment. We've got Alexandra Headlands that way, we have Mooloolaba that way, so we're kind of stuck in the middle. Anyone that knows more this part of the Sunshine Coast knows this hill quite well. Very gradually coming up, ascending up here, and then it's a short sharp one on the other side. So yeah, people love it or you hate it, but it's a nice hill. I don't mind it. It's good. Alright, I have the lovely Bridge here next to me today. How are you, Bridge?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm alright, I'm good. Bridge is a fellow runner. We haven't really run together, but we have run events together. Sunny Coast here, obviously. I remember last year I did see you out running around. You did the marathon last year?
I did.
Yeah, how'd you go with that?
Yeah, good. That was my very first marathon,
Yeah.
so I did it in 3 hours 52. I was aiming for under 4,
Sub
so
4,
yeah,
nice.
I was happy.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's these events, like the organisation that holds the Atlas event, so the Atlas group, so they run the Cairns Marathon, Sunny Coast, Brisbane and Hobart Marathon festivals, and they're very community-based events, especially the Sunny Coast. You know, when you obviously we're comparing Sunny Coast to Brisbane, for example, so obviously Brisbane is very corporate focused with the buildings around and like that, but then when you're looking at Sunny Coast and even Cairns, for example, and even Hobart, they're very community based, which is really good, you know.
Yeah.
And like you live here, you know the area well. You know, I'm up obviously in Cairns, but it's a lot of focus is around the community, and that's a good segue and talk about basically with Movember coming up. Obviously we're in breast cancer, we're in October at the moment, so we've got breast cancer awareness month. Obviously a lot of things I do for breast cancer, obviously with the pink, which is for me is just a permanent fixture in my life. You know, I told my kids I'm not going to be old and grey, I'll be old and pink.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's and people know me for what I do, you know, and when you saw me today, you could recognise me straight away. You know who I am.
Yeah.
And that's good, and it's kind of,
It's a beautiful pink beacon.
it is absolutely, and it's a talking point when it comes to not only for men's health with the moustache, but also women's health as well, and that's pretty important when we're talking about mental health support and stuff like that. It's just not about men's health, but it's about women's health as well. And what I do is it's just a small ripple in the ocean when we're talking about raising awareness, getting support out there for women, especially when it comes to not just breast cancer but ovarian cancer and all different types of stuff, because no offense, women are very complex when it comes to their bodies and knowing, you know, you go through a lot, you really do, you go through a lot. And if it's something like just being pink, it's nothing, you know. A lot of people might wear a badge to support what they believe in. Me, I kind of, you know, I'm no holds barred. I'm either not doing it or all out there doing it.
Yeah.
To the extreme. So, but you know, everyone knows me for me as being the pink bro, and you know, it's what I do.
Yeah.
So hopefully it does resonate with some people in the community. And then when we're talking about community, you know, obviously you're in a community around the Sunshine Coast. It's very community focused, which is great. When we're looking at women's health, for example, has there been any impact within yourself or within the area when it comes to getting support for women's health?
Well, definitely with the group that I dance with, Burlesque More on the Sunshine Coast,
Yep.
It's a really supportive community, and it's a safe space.
Yeah.
So women can go there, and we support each other through difficult times,
Yeah.
and we're very sort of open and honest with each other, and we rally behind each other as well, and we celebrate all different shapes and forms at Burlesque More. It's very much a celebration of the female body and femininity, and it really kind of, I suppose, really showcases the fact that on stage too.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and Bridge and I are friends on Facebook, and I'll see a lot of the photos and the videos that are coming up on there. I'm going, you know what, they look great. I'll be honest. It's and I think there's a perception when it comes to burlesque dancing that everyone's thin and just super fit and all that kind of stuff. But then when I'm looking at the photos, it's a whole range of different bodies and shapes and ages and stuff like that. Everyone's out there giving it a go, and having that support within that group, I would think would be pretty amazing.
Definitely. And it really kind of, I think, shatters the stereotype about dancers that they have to look a certain way, that they have to act a certain way. You can really be yourself, and I think that's so important.
How long have you been doing that for?
I've been with Burlesque More going on, it's about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And it's really helped me as well to kind of just feel comfortable in my own skin too. Particularly going through adolescence, I had struggles, and I always sort of found, particularly being a little bit different, a little bit tall, and not sort of fitting in so well. So it's nice to be a part of this supportive community.
Yeah, no, that's great. And being in a location of, there's obviously a lot of fit people around here, and we can see them running up and down the street. Do you think there'll be, how can I say this without offending people? I think it would be hard, when you're looking at all these fit people coming up and down the street and stuff like that, body image, do you think that...
It's huge.
It's a huge,
big problem. Particularly, I'm a high school teacher, so I work in a school environment, and I see it particularly with young girls.
Yeah.
And social media is just really exacerbating some of the issues as well. When they see these beautiful people that are probably heavily filtered and
that's it.
Photoshopped, and they look at them and put them up on pedestals, and just really eats away at their self-esteem and their self-confidence. Yeah,
and do you see that? Because I definitely see it with males as well, 100%. Do you see that across the board on male and females when you're at school? Yeah,
definitely. Particularly boys that, they'll often sort of say offhanded comments to each other about, oh, do you lift? And things like that. And it's a lot of them don't realise how powerful words can be.
Yeah, that's
how those sort of words, if you're cutting someone down and making a sarcastic comment about someone's physical appearance, it doesn't matter what gender you are, it's going to have an impact.
It definitely has an impact, yeah. And how long have you been a teacher for now?
A long time. It's going on 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
A long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because I know when I was at school, which was a long time ago, I finished school in 1990, I think. So it was a long time ago. There was definitely and obviously there's a generational shift between then and now, and that's going to go on well into our future with my kids and grandkids and all that kind of stuff. There was definitely nothing spoken about when it comes to mental health with schools. Now my children have long graduated. Now my boys are 21 and 22, so they've been out of school for 5-6 years now, give or take. Definitely there was no conversation around mental health at school, and I think really only something really they probably really spoke about it if something had actually happened. I don't, and I'm no professor on anything. I'm not a specialist in anything like that. This is my own opinion. not sure if it's changed, or you've seen, considering you've been a teacher for 15 years, have you seen a change from when you started until now when it comes to talking about mental health at schools?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely, particularly now, it's yesterday's Mental Health Awareness Day.
Yeah.
And so I've got a job too as a mentor teacher. I've got a little group of students that I see every morning. We watched a video and it sort of sparked quite a few conversations around mental health.
Yep.
And I've certainly, from the day dot with this mentor class, I've let them know that I can be their go-to person if they need to talk to someone about things that are going on in their life.
Yep.
We have a program called Wellbeing at the school as well, which is run every week.
So what does that entail?
So that's sort of where it's often sort of showcases a number of different videos, a few activities, and it's often allows then there to be conversations around mental health, around positive thinking, around issues that are affecting adolescents. So it's and that's with your mentor class. So that's with the little group that I see where we've got vertical mentor classes. So I've got in my class students from grade 7 to grade 12. And we get them to kind of work together and kind of mentor each other, and it works quite well because they're not with their peers; they're with students from different grades. So it kind of forces them to, I suppose, see things from different. It's quite interesting, even just the nuances between the different year levels, in terms of maturity and sometimes in terms of perspective.
Yeah, like it's like a mentorship type situation. They mentor others. Yeah, and that's good for their own mental health, not just for them, but who they're mentoring as well. Like, and these conversations that I've had with people from all ages, all walks of life, it's been therapeutic for me as well. Getting the perspective of others, what they're going through, because where I work, I deal with a lot of people every day from different walks of life. I don't physically see them, it's all over the phone. So having that understanding of what they're going through can be very difficult because you're not sure. You get a better idea of somebody when you're like talking to them face to face.
Definitely. And
like there's that connection. There's a immediate connection with somebody. You kind of know if you like them or you don't just from that straight away.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get a good understanding of what people are going through if you can't see them. And a lot of people go through a lot of shit in their life. We've all been there, we've all experienced it. And it's having that support within your community, with your dancing community, and from what you've told me, it sounds amazing bunch of women to fall back on and have that support. The conversations that I've had when we talk about men's health, for example, it is just men don't do anything. They put their head in the sand, hopefully it'll go away. With your upbringing, have you been subject to that experience when it comes to men's health?
Yeah, definitely. I've had quite a few good male friends who've had struggles, and it's difficult because I guess it's different kind of ways of communication as well, and sometimes, particularly for men, I guess an Australian trait too is that you put your head in the sand, you just bottle it up, you just pretend it's all right, she'll be right, mate, let's just keep going.
Exactly.
And it's really unhealthy to just ignore it because it just bubbles away under the surface.
Yeah, I don't know if that's purely an Australian thing. I think it's a global thing. Getting ideas and understanding from different nations has been interesting because you've got European backgrounds. And I know you go overseas, you go back home. How many times do you go back home to?
Sometimes 3 times a year. To Denmark.
Yeah. Family and that. It's probably something you can't really comment on because you don't live there. You're not regularly there, but can we get an understanding of what it's like over there when it comes to mental health?
Definitely, it's quite seasonal.
Yeah,
it's
right.
quite interesting. You really see a shift culturally, particularly in Scandinavia because of the lack of sunlight.
Yeah.
People are generally very happy and very positive over the summer months, and the summer months are very short.
Yeah.
It's quite brief. And then when the weather turns, when you get fewer hours of sunlight, when it starts to get grey and dark, people stay indoors more often.
Yeah.
They're not outside so much, and we're lucky here, particularly here on the Sunshine Coast, with this beautiful weather. There's sunshine, long hours of daylight.
Yeah.
But for particularly November, December, January, February, March, it's dark, it's cold, and people suffer. It's funny how like the Scandinavian countries are often ranked as some of the happiest in the world, but I wonder whether they do that data collection during the summer period.
Exactly. When's that happening?
Because you notice it too, even just when the Scandinavians, particularly Danish, are quite introverted people. They're not particularly outgoing like Australians, and they're quite reserved. And when you're on public transport in summertime, people sometimes will even just come up and engage in conversation, and it's a little bit out of character.
Yeah.
But then I noticed too, just getting public transport, I was over in Denmark in January, trying to engage with someone and talk to them during the depression. Basically, it's hard to kind of talk to people, and living there would be, I think, particularly if you are quite vivacious and you enjoy other people's company, and you like, a little bit like me, I really like sort of engaging in conversation with people. It'd be hard.
It'd be difficult.
Really hard.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about the seasonals, because it's something that we don't really, doesn't really impact us here that much. Obviously, you know, it gets cold in Queensland in winter, depending on the location you are. And I know, you know, in Cairns, when it gets to 15 degrees in Cairns, you know, that's cold for people in far north Queensland, not necessarily for somebody in the southern states.
In Denmark, that's shorts and t-shirt
weather. Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly. You know, if there was you know, snow and stuff in Cairns, there'll be definitely a concern for climate change up there, but that'll never happen. But it's interesting because you don't think about that when you're talking about overseas countries, especially if you don't know the country. When we're talking seasonal and stuff like that, I've got close friends all over Europe, and that's a conversation that I've never had, because you just don't know, you just don't understand it, you know. Yeah, it's weird, it's strange, but you know, that's okay. With your own, obviously we're in October at the moment, so we've got Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I say this to all the women that I know, you know, how are things going with yourself? Everything okay? You know, you get yourself checked out and stuff? Yeah,
I'm especially sort of cautious because I lost my maternal grandmother to breast cancer, and my paternal grandmother to ovarian cancer. So I was close, very, very close to both of them. So it was quite traumatic, and both of them had unfortunately quite a prolonged death, and painful death.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I'm acutely aware of, and I went for my first mammogram this year, and I was very nervous. I was quite scared because obviously there's a family history of breast cancer.
Yeah.
So thankfully though, got the all
clear. Yep.
But you know, you certainly don't rest on your laurels. You have to be proactive and just make sure you do regular checks, and
and a good thing you say about that, because you know, I was talking to a good friend yesterday about that, and we were discussing knowing what to feel for. Like, so obviously when it comes to men, especially young boys, testicular cancer is it's one of the number one killers for young men, is testicular cancer. And it's knowing what to feel for. So, you know, there's Movember campaigns that do, you know your nuts. So it's getting guys to feel for lumps, any abnormalities when it comes to their testicles. But then on the flip side, when we're talking about women's checking their breasts and stuff like that, you know where to check, you know what to feel for?
Certainly to a degree. touch wood, I've never sort of found anything abnormal, but yeah, it's something, you know, that I do in the shower and sort of just
Yeah.
do it quite regularly.
Yeah, it's it. And when I was talking to my friend the other day about it, she has a history of breast cancer in her family, but she doesn't know what to feel for. And when she went for her first checkup, well, when she went for a checkup, I should say, like she said to the doctor, you know, can you feel my breast? You know, feel for anything. And she's going, well, no, you can do that. And it's like, well, I don't know what I'm feeling for. So if there was some guidance or procedure that she could understand, you know, does this feel okay? Does this not feel okay? Whatever the case is, she knows what to expect. Because I wouldn't know what to look out for.
Yeah.
You know, I would probably think if there's something there, but if it's, how do you know it's exactly what it could be? You just don't know. So I think education would be probably a good source, especially for young women as well, young girls who need to start checking for their breasts, feeling for any bumps or anything like that. I think education is key. And it's not across the board with checking for yourself, it's just in general, mental health in general, I think.
Yeah, and understanding some of the risk factors that are involved as well. I've certainly, after conversations with my doctor, been very careful with alcohol.
Yep.
Because that's definitely something that can really exacerbate the incidence of breast cancer.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So I've made sort of really a concerted effort over the last 2 years to really, really cut back to the point where it's been a long time since I've had a drink.
And that's good. I stopped drinking 2 days after Boxing Day last year. Oh, sorry, after Christmas last year, 27. So I haven't had a drink. It'll be coming on 10 months at the end of this month. I haven't had a drink for. So, and I'm not, thank you, but I'm not, no, it's been a very long time, and I mean a long time since I've actually been drunk. But it's the drinking. Just, you know, I would have, you know, a 6-pack a week basically over that week.
Yeah.
But then I'm just thinking, you know, no, what's it doing for me? You know, I've stopped drinking. I've stopped drinking on and off for years, but you always go back to it. And you know, after finishing a marathon, you know, first thing you want to do is go to the bar, have a beer, have a burger, you know, just celebrate what you've done.
Yeah.
But then, you know, do you need that beer? Do you need that, you know, what effect is it having on your body? And then when we're talking about breast cancer, you know, I didn't realise it had that effect when it comes to that. I had no idea. So, but who does? I don't know. But then that's coming back with education, knowing, talking to people, experiencing what they've experienced. And
there's parts of the world where actually, a little bit like cigarettes, they have warning labels on alcohol bottles that say this increases your risk of cancer. Yeah,
well, that's right. I definitely have seen it for pregnancy on alcohol bottles. So yeah, and that's it, a warning label. But you know, how big's the warning label? It's not like cigarettes when it's in your face.
In the United States, it's quite big.
It is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good. All right. Yeah. No. Maybe they'll do it. Well, I'm pretty sure they do it here, but not to the extent that they probably do it over there.
Yeah.
Not sure. Anyway, that's okay. But yeah, it's again, it's education. It's coming back to understanding, no matter the age, young or old, male, female, I think it really doesn't matter. I think if someone was going to get something out of the conversation we've had today, what would that be from your point of view?
I think speak up about if you're struggling, talk to someone. As I say to my mentor class, you know, go talk to your teacher, talk to your parents, talk to a friend, let someone know what's going on if you're struggling. And sometimes, you know, just talking through it, talking about it can actually make the world of difference.
Yeah, that's it.
Just articulating what's going on in your head, because it can be overwhelming, it can be confusing, and then having someone as a sounding board can sometimes help you work your way through it.
Yeah, because we don't know what's going on.
No.
You know, we don't know what's going on in someone's life. You know, from the outside, they could be looking fine, but on the inside, you know, there could be 1,000 things going through their minds. You just don't know.
And the second really important thing is for them to be kind, because like you say, you just don't know what someone's going through, and your words can have so much power. You can really tear someone down or bring them up. And yeah, if you're kind, then your kindness can sometimes completely change someone's world for the better.
Yeah, that's it. And you never know who you're going to impact in your life. You really don't. I've told people this story many times, but it still rings true to me when I had an interaction with an 8-year-old girl at the shopping centre back home earlier in the year. I was waiting for somebody. I could see this mother and daughter come up alongside me, and it was just, the look on her face was just, you know, of awe and amazement for seeing someone who's in his 50s who has a pink hand, pink moustache, and she just wanted to have a chat, and I just said to her, hey, you know, this is what I do. Do you know what? Have you heard about Movember? No, I haven't. Okay, cool. Gave her a quick 30-second chat about that. What we do to support men's health. But then on the flip side, it's also obviously about the pink and the breast cancer awareness. We spoke about that. It's not going through really heavy conversation with her because she's only 8. So having her understand that she may not have understood. So it's more conversation around how I look and what it means to me, but in a way that she could understand it and comprehend it. And then I said, hey, you know, this was at the end of May. I said, hey, you know, Go Pink campaign for breast cancer starts in June, so basically the next day or next week. I said, what are you doing at school? You know, talk to your teachers, talk to them and say, hey, you know what, can we do pink for a day? Or can I just put pink colour in my hair, you know, just to, you know, and when I told her that, like, her eyes lit up. She's looking at her mum going, can I? Go for it, you know, just do it. They're not gonna, if it's something that you believe in and it's something you want to represent yourself for people to see what you do in your life, then who gives a shit of what people think? Just go and do it, you know, just do it. I don't care how people perceive me. When I was talking to a friend yesterday, we were in Brisbane having a chat along the river, and 2 or 3 people walked past, waved to me, looked at me, gave me the thumbs up. There was an Italian sports team. Don't know what they were doing because they all spoke Italian, so couldn't understand what they were saying. But there was a whole different range of them. There was physically handicapped within that team as well. Able-bodied, so there was definitely something going on. And one of them walked past, and he couldn't speak a word of English, but he's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing this, you know. So, you know, you don't need words to express something that you like or you enjoy, or, you know, what makes them look at me and think, you know, he looks great. Obviously, he was trying to communicate that with me through just not language, it was just actions. Exactly. So you never know who you're going to impact. When I was in Hobart earlier in the year for the Hobart Marathon Festival, I had a guy who's can't remember where he was from. He was European, and you could see a whole group of them see me walk past me, and then they all stop, and one of them comes back and he wanted a photo because he's got a friend overseas who does stuff with pink, and he just wanted to show, like, you know, he's seen somebody who's at the bottom of the country and who you'll least expect to see, and it was an impact. It makes a statement regardless of what you're trying to achieve. You know, people see it, they look at me, but then they might turn around and go, okay, what's with the pink? You know, is this a permanent thing? Yes, it is. This is what I do. And it's education. That's all it is, you know, what it comes down to. So hopefully what I do resonates with somebody, and And it's
like a physical reminder, basically.
Exactly. All right, Bridge. I really appreciate your time today. I know you got a busy day with your dancing and stuff, so I really do appreciate the time that you've given me today. So thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for the conversation,
Nah, it's
Ben.
all
I
good.
appreciate it.
No dramas. Have a good day, okay?
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.